Hello and welcome to the first episode of Steam Cuisine. My name is Sean and I'm your host, bringing you video games, food, and fun. We will be doing a Christmas episode today. Might as well start with something that everybody tends to cook for. The game we are playing in the background of today's Christmas special is Fallout 4, or as I like to call it, Hoarding Simulator 2015. I'll be playing this in the background while giving food tips and tricks for your holiday season and in the future for other topics. This episode, I'm going to be talking about a Christmas special, so I'm going to be giving an appetizer, a side dish, my prime rib recipe, or as I like to call it, my prime rib primer. Oh, God. And as you see, be interrupted with gameplay from Fallout 4. My prime rib primer and primer, and finally, last but not least, a dessert recipe. So, after I kill these mole rats,
Still here?
we will talk about my appetizer. Looks good. Give up. I don't want my cryo gun. I want healing. Okay, so for an appetizer, I like to make my Syracuse salt potatoes. All right. Syracuse salt potatoes are small fingerling potatoes of either gold or red variety. Usually you can find them near the other potatoes. They'll be the ones that are about 2 inches long to maybe 3 inches at max, varying in size, usually come in a mesh bag. And we're going to prepare those in a way that's popular in New York City near Syracuse, which is the Syracuse salt potato. So, first of all, you'll need about 1 pound to 2 pounds of salt potatoes. Of potatoes. We are going to turn them into salt potatoes. And you want to get those and wash them, make sure they're clean of dirt, but we're not going to peel them or anything. And we also need water, and we need kosher salt. Specifically kosher salt for this recipe. Regular salt, or table salt, has iodine in it, which not only helps in not clumping the salt together, but it also helps you not get goiters and stuff. But for this recipe you need kosher salt because we're going to be using the salt in such large amounts for the cooking process that it can affect the taste of the potato. So what you're going to do is you're going to put on the stove in a 2-quart pot or so.
You see
You're going to put about, I'd say, 1.5 quarts of water on to boil, and to that you're going to add 2 cups of kosher salt. Yes, 2 whole cups. The reason we're doing this is to A, raise the boiling temperature of the water, but secondly, to season the potatoes for consumption. So you're going to bring that water to a boil, and you're going to put the potatoes... Oh, let me back that up. Add the potatoes to the water with the salt in it, then raise to a boil. What you're trying to do is you're going to boil these potatoes till they're done, which should take between 15 and 20 minutes once they reach the boil. You're pretty much just going to keep an eye on them and check them for doneness with a sharp knife by sticking it in. If it slides out easily, it's done. And you're going to boil this till they're done, and then you're going to drain them. And what's going to be really nifty is that you're going to have, as they dry, a thin layer of crystallized salt on the outside of your potatoes. This layer is not too salty, kind of about the same salt content as like a potato chip. And what you're going to do is you're going to serve this with melted butter, possibly with some green onions sprinkled on top, or parsley if you want to be fancy. That will give you what is like a finger food. So you're going to have this bowl of salted potatoes, and you're going to pick them out with either a toothpick or your fingers and dip them in melted butter and then just eat them. It's delicious. It's a great appetizer. It fits that sort of chip thing, but it's hot during these cold months, and it just makes a really, really good appetizer. So I don't know where this is. This is the National Guard training yard. Okay. By the way, I will be trying to skip spoilers as much as possible for the story. But as I said, I don't know what I'm going to run into, so if I run into things, I will try to warn for spoilers, maybe edit in an annotation or so to guard against it.
Hey, something's out there.
Those are zombies. Ghouls. Sorry, not zombies. Ooh, turret. Stop it. Whoa! There we go. Taken care of. Okay, so onwards. After that nice appetizer, gonna move to one of my girlfriend Emily's family recipes that she developed, which is her butternut squash with prosciutto, which is really, really nice, and I had no idea about until I had known her for about 6 months, and I had her first Thanksgiving with her. What you'll need for this recipe is a butternut squash, maple syrup, and prosciutto, sage, and garlic. Sage, you probably need about just a handful of leaves. Prosciutto, you need about 1.5 ounces. And for maple syrup, you're going to need 1/4 cup. And garlic, you need about 2 cloves. What you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and peel and clean your butternut squash. And you're going to cube it into 1-inch cubes. You're going to then toss that with 1/4 cup of maple syrup, 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, salt, pepper to taste, and the chopped up prosciutto. You're going to then throw that into a 400-degree oven for 20 minutes, at which point you'll give it a nice good mix. And you're going to then add the sage leaves to this mix, and then you're going to give that a stir. And you will then throw this back in the oven for about another 20 minutes till things are nice golden brown, vegetables are soft, prosciutto is slightly crispy, and then pull out and serve. It's a very nice side dish. I prefer it over like the sweet potato casseroles, those types of things. Those are just too sweet for me, and this is a nice savory, slightly sweet squash dish. Is there anything else here? Is it really the only ghouls? I don't know. So, let's see if we can get inside this. That's another turret. Let's throw a little time at it. There we
If
go.
we're gonna dance, let's dance.
There goes Pop. There's the weasel. I have not been doing much hoarding in this episode. Too busy talking. Oh god, landmine! I am now stuck, waiting for this landmine to explode. Maybe I can make it out. Oh, that hurt.
Leg okay?
Oh,
Does it look better?
no. Luckily, drugs. Stim packs. Good for everything. So, onward to kind of the main thing that I did. I kind of went over the other recipes kind of quickly. That is my prime rib primer. For Christmas, just as if turkey was for Thanksgiving, I think prime rib is the quintessential Christmas dish. Now, I know what some of you are saying is like, I can't afford prime rib. Prime rib's expensive. Yes. Yes, it is. But I like to look at it as, for my Christmas meal, that I will buy the prime rib, which will cost me a pretty penny. But then, I sort of charge entry. Like, my culinary hero Alton Brown says, if you want to have someone by prime rib, you bring me a side dish. And depending how good your side dish is, depends on how much meat I give you. But what we're talking about when we talk about prime rib is we're talking about the rib roast of a cow that is of high quality. That's what the prime is. The prime isn't a location, it isn't type. It's a quality indicator. So there's like choice, select, and prime, and there's lower grades than that, but we won't get into that here. But you're looking for at least prime. You can get away with choice. Truthfully, you're probably going to run into choice just because you are not going to be able to find prime. Prime tends to just go to the restaurants. There's limited amounts. It deals with marbling, which is fat inside the meat. Not like chunks of fat, but marbling, which is like thin layers of fat in between the thing, which makes meat stay juicy and tender. And we want to get at least, I'd say, 1/2 pound to a third a pound per person you want to serve. So for like a family of 6, I suggest like a 3 to 4 pound roast. Preferably bone in. If you get bone in, I'd go up to maybe 5 pounds, just because the bone's going to take up weight. And what we're going to do is we're going to dry age this at home. So when you get it home, you're going to want to, first of all, unwrap your prime rib, and you're going to go ahead and season that liberally with kosher salt again. Little known fact, koshering was actually like the process of salting and curing meats, and so this got called kosher salt, not only because it's kosher, but because it was used a lot for curing meats. It has a large flake size, which is really good for this type of application. Could you use table salt? I'm sure you could. Again, flavor's going to be kind of off because you're going to have iodine in that. So I would definitely try to use kosher salt. I will slowly convert everybody to kosher salt. So what we're going to do is we're going to season this prime rib liberally with the kosher salt all over, every side. Maybe 2-3 tablespoons at least.
Let's get this over with, shall we?
So we're at the point where we're seasoning this meat, and we're going to go ahead and put this on a tray that has a lid, that has 2 or 3 layers of paper towels underneath, and on top of that a rack of some sort. I find if you have a toaster oven, the small rack works really well. Also, you could use a series of wooden skewers across the tray to hold the meat off of the paper towels. And then you can either cover this with a plastic top. If you do that, you're going to want to have holes in it because we want air to get getting to it. Otherwise, I've seen people do it like tinted with tin foil that has holes poked in it, if you're not wanting to like buy something specific for this. But the main thing is that this needs to be exposed to open air in your fridge. Now, I know what you're saying. Oh, we're going to leave food uncovered in the fridge? Raw, uncooked food? Yeah, we're going to do this, but we're going to do it smart so that we're not going to get anybody sick with cross-contamination. We're going to put this on the bottom of your fridge. There will be no vegetables under this. There will be nothing you will eat out of hand under this. Preferably, there will be nothing under this. And this will prevent anything from getting on anything else and making you sick. Secondly, that's what the plastic or the tin foil is for, is to prevent anything from falling on the meat. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and leave it in the fridge, and we're going to leave it with our perforated cover for 3 days. Now, I know what you're saying. Oh, meat uncovered in the fridge for 3 days. This is fine. We are talking about salt, which is a giant microbial agent, which will, microbial deterrent, which will cause people to, these are dead paladins. I'll take these. The main part here is that nothing's going to grow on our meat because of the salt.
That's in better shape than I
And
expected.
then by leaving it in the dry air of the fridge, what we're going to end up doing is we're going to draw moisture out of the meat. This is going to concentrate the beef flavors, if that makes any sense, into the meat. So we're basically removing water in a process that will end up with us having more beef in our beef than if we just cooked it straight out of the package. So if by day 3, let me back up one step, I'm sorry. During those 3 days, once a day, you're going to want to take the beef out, and you're going to want to uncover it, and you're going to want to change out the paper towels. Now, you'll notice that there's a lot of juices in those paper towels, especially at first. This is not blood. This is just protein-laden juice being drawn out by the osmotic action of the salt. So you're going to do that every day, and on day 3, you're going to have a slightly darker color beef. Now the main part is that we're going to check this. Anything that has any super dark dry spots, we're going to trim off. And otherwise, we're going to now season this up while our oven is going to be set at 375 degrees and with room for it to be in the middle of the oven. During this part, we're going to season up our prime rib with pepper and other seasonings such as oregano. Look up a decent prime rib rub. I'm not giving away mine on the air. But oregano's good, paprika's good, garlic powder, onion powder. I would try to avoid rosemary. It's just a little too strong for what I like to do, but I've seen people do rosemary and it's fine. Basically, we're going to coat this outside in a rub. And
That's it.
all we're going to do after that is coat this with a little bit of oil, vegetable oil. And we're going to go ahead and stick this in our 375 degree oven. So this leads us to the next thing for prime rib that makes prime rib worth it. We do not want to overcook our prime rib. We spend a lot of money on it. So how are we going to prevent it overcooking? Now a lot of people tell you like, oh, you can do this equation of how much it weighs and how much time and what temperature, and that will get you to the right thing to get it to the right doneness, which we want medium rare. Anybody who says they want theirs well done can have theirs finished cooked in a pan when it's sliced. We are not going past it. This is all phooey for this wait time formula thing. This is an agricultural product. You don't know how much water was in your meat. You don't know how much water you got lost during the dry aging. So you don't really know what your time you're looking for. So we're going to use a thermometer. Preferably, we're going to use what is called a probe-style thermometer, which, if you've never seen one, will look like a sharp metal spike with a cable running out of it, flexible cable, that runs to a small box that it plugs into that is thermometer control, and it will usually come with an alarm setting, a current read, and timer. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and stick this thermometer in the center of the meat as close as we can without getting close to the bones. So we're going to stick that in there, and then we can put the whole roast, thermometer and everything, with the cable leading outside of the stove of the oven, where the actual controls are, which are usually magnetic, so they stick to your oven or on your countertop. And we're going to set that for 135 degrees. Now I know what you're saying. 135 is not medium rare. What are you doing? You're going to poison us. I'm not. We're going to deal with a concept later on called carryover cooking, which is when this meat reaches 135 degrees, it's still cooking. It is going to continue to shoot past 135 to 145 degrees. And that's going to give us a perfect medium rare. If we cooked it all the way to 145, it'd go to 155, and we'd have medium to medium well, which is dry and bad, and we spent money, good money, on this roast. So we're going to use this thermometer, take it out at 135. So why am I starting the oven at 375? Why is it not a hotter temperature? Want to get done faster? Yeah, it would get done faster, but we would end up doing a lot of damage to the cell walls via heat, and we'd lose a lot of juices. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually start this one out at 375, and we're going to go ahead and cook that until the internal temperature actually reaches about 110. So at 110 degrees, which you'll set your alarm to, you'll leave it in the oven. When it beeps, go to it, and we're going to turn that thing up to 500 degrees, or as hot as your oven can get. What we're going to do is we're going to sear the outside at the last few minutes. And so we're going to then reset our thermometer after we set our oven to the hottest temperature, and we're going to go ahead and let that finish cooking to 135. This is going to create a nice dark mahogany crust on the outside of our prime rib. And we're going to go ahead and take that out of the oven, and we're going to then tint it with foil. Not seal, tint. We want a loose covering on this, because we're going to let this sit for at least 30 minutes. It will be the longest 30 minutes of your life, because this will smell delicious coming out of your oven. It's going to be perfumatic, it's going to smell beefy, and you're just going to cut a tiny, tiny piece just to know, to resist the temptation. Because right now, you have all of this pressure inside the roast pushing outwards all the juices because it wants to equal out pressure. Long thing about science and pressure and heat. But basically, you want that pressure to lessen. Otherwise, if you even snip into this or poke it, you will have juices gushing out of this thing in no time, and you'll leave a dry little piece of meat that is not worth your time and will be a waste of money. Speaking of poking things, you're saying, well, you poked it with a thermometer. Oh god, landmine. Ow. Who's calling for help? We were talking about thermometers. We'll talk about it in a second. I heard somebody yell help. Where are you? I heard you call. I swear I heard that. Did she die? No, these are skeletons. I swear I heard somebody yell help. I don't know where it is. Okay, back to the thermometer. Yeah, we poked the thing with the thermometer. But that was before we cooked
You
it.
sure managed to find your fair
We
share
are
of trouble,
not
don't you?
going to be taking it out while it rests. Leave that stuck in there. Because if we pull it out, we're creating a gusher hole where it's going to spew out juice and it's going to go badly. So we're going to want to leave that thermometer in, tint the foil around it, and let it sit for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, we can go ahead and take the thermometer out. There's no risk now. And we're going to go ahead and carve off the bone. So the ribs will be standing up in an arch. And we're going to go ahead and using a slicer, preferably an electric slicer, if not your longest slicing blade or knife. And you're going to go ahead and trim that bone down to create a nice oval roast. So you're just going to follow that bone as close as you can. There is going to be a lot of meat on these bones. Those are your reward for cooking. You keep those, and you eat them later in front of the fridge, or when everybody's gone home from your Christmas party or anything, because it's delicious. I've put it in eggs the next day, and it's fantastic. Keep those bones. But otherwise, now we have our prime rib. It's rested, and you go ahead and carve it like you would any prime rib. So you're going to be cutting, I would say it's perpendicular to where the bones were, and going sideways. So you're going to slice that direction, slice thin or thick, depending on who brought the best sides. The end pieces are probably the best because they have the most crust. So save those for your really special friends, or the ones that brought really good, that's a mirror alert, really good side dish. Die, crab. Flare alert meat, just like crab. So, I know that all may get a lot of questions about my prime rib primer. Any questions can be directed to steamcuisinelive@gmail.com. That's steamcuisinelive@gmail.com. Or you can leave a comment down below and I'll take a look at it. Yeah, I'm not going to follow the radio just for a second. So, onwards. We're down to, we've had good appetizer, good side dish, prime rib, and now on to dessert. Now, Christmas dessert has a lot of classics involved. Heck, it's got songs long named after it. I mean, figgy pudding, we got eggnog, pie, cookies. Cookies are a big thing. Are you? Oh, you're a blowfly. That's right. Black blowfly. I've seen people do cakes and things like that. I like to do a classic, which is the rum ball, which actually doesn't get done that much anymore. So, rum balls are a cake-like ball that is usually soaked in rum, and so it's a boozy confection that is very small, so you can just take them, and they're delicious. My recipe includes chocolate box mix cake. Duncan Hines is good. They don't not pay me to say that. They're just decent. So is Pillsbury. Looking for dark chocolate cake, like fudge cake or devil's food. And we're going to go ahead and prepare that cake. These are super mutants. Quite a few. We're we're going to go ahead and prepare that box cake according to directions. Rectangular, circle pans, doesn't matter. What we want is just cooked cake. Because what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take those cakes, and you're going to want to do this about 2 days before you actually need to serve the rum balls. And you're going to cook the cake, and then let it cool, and then you're going to crumble the whole thing up. You're going to take that whole thing apart into crumbs. And then what we're going to do is we're going to lay those crumbs out on either a tray or a container of some sort of want to spread them in a thin layer. You don't want it to be bunched up. And you're going to go ahead and let that sit lightly covered for a day. And that's going to stale out this cake. It's not going to be super stale, it's not going to be crunchy, but it's going to dry out a little bit. And that's what we want. Because what we're going to do is we're going to take these crumbs, the chocolate cake crumbs, and we're going to go ahead and mix this with chocolate frosting, preferably chocolate buttercream. If you do not want to make chocolate buttercream, you can use canned chocolate frosting. Will it taste as good? No. Will it work? Yes. And you're going to go ahead and mix, I'd say, 2 cups to 1 cake, roughly. Maybe 2.5 cups. And what we're looking for is more of a consistency thing. We want the cake to be contained in the frosting where it's going to be able to be formed into balls. Also to this mix, we're going to go ahead and add a 1/4 cup of rum. It's going to be delicious. When we talk rum, we're talking dark rum, not white rum. Myers is the usual brand people go for. I would say go with something better. Like Captain Morgan's actually really good if you want more of like a spiced rum type thing. Those people are friendly, so we will not kill them. Spice rum is nice, but it's going to give it more spice flavor. But like just a simple dark rum will be good. We're going to go ahead and mix that up. We're going to have this cake frosting mass. And if it starts to get too loose where it's getting too gooey to like form into balls, go ahead and put it in the fridge for a bit. It'll tighten up. But what we're going to do then is just portion these into 2-inch balls. At this point, we're going to take the tray of rum balls that are uncoated and put them in the fridge while we prepare the coating.
Bars don't get much cleaner than that.
Hey there.
Ah, a new customer. Welcome to
Okay.
Mac's Bar.
We will come back to
currently
rum
open
balls.
for business. Please excuse the mess.
Okay, yeah, that's
Nice location.
a bar.
Thank you kindly. Picked the place myself. Plenty of room for expansion in an up-and-coming neighborhood at an unbeatable price. Anyway, what'll it be?
Let's see what you have.
Pick your
What
poison.
does this guy sell? He sells bourbon, lager, pilsner, vodka, whiskey, and wine. Okay. Back to the rum balls. So we have the rum balls in the fridge, and we're going to now talk about coating these. We're talking about coating in
How many
chocolate, melted
tables can I
chocolate,
have before
that
I
we're going to
need
then
the
harden
hot
into a
waters?
shell. We're going to use meltits in this situation because getting into melting chocolate is a very, very complex topic, including lots of science, and it's something that you can mess up and that will not turn into a good result for you, versus meltits. Meltits are a chocolate coating. They do have chocolate in them, but they use a different fat so that no matter what, they will re-harden into a coating. If you melt chocolate wrong, it doesn't re-harden, and so it turns into like fudgy substance, which is not what we're looking for these rum balls. So you usually find these meltits in the baking aisle, or you can find them at a Michael's or a craft supply store with the baking stuff. They usually come in small round discs, and they come in colors. So if you can get them in any color you want. We're going to do ours in just chocolate brown with sprinkles. And if you want to do yours in white and chocolate sprinkles, that would look cool. Or white with red sprinkles for Christmas. Let your imagination go wild. But we're going to go ahead and melt down 2 cups of meltits, following the directions on the package. Once we have that melted, we're going to have our station with a bowl with sprinkles on it. And we're going to go ahead and take our rum balls out of the fridge, and we're going to roll them in the melted chocolate, and then roll them in the sprinkles, and then back onto the tray. Once we've done this for all of them, we're going to store them back into the fridge until they harden, which will not take long, and then we'll serve them. at this point, you have a very simple dessert that is boozy for the adults. If you wanted to, you could do this in a non-booze version for the kids. Basically substitute out the rum with frosting and maybe a teaspoon of vanilla just to round out the flavors.
Nights like this. A warm
So
spot
that
with a
brings
cold
us to the
beer
end of our
would be
Christmas
heaven.
episode. Definitely was focused on food today.
I can carry
If you
something
do
if
like
need
this,
to.
please leave a comment or like the video. And if you would like to see more, let me know. I'm hoping to make this a weekly thing, and we'll talk about different topics. And if you have any cooking questions, feel free to send me an email at steamcuisinelive@gmail.com. And I look forward to hearing your questions, and I look forward to sharing more cooking tips. So, have a great night, and stay hungry.